What's up? Welcome back. So after owning my E46 for about 2 years now and starting the journey of modifying it and just making it specifically exactly how I want it to be, and trust me when I say we're nowhere close to done. But as a lot of you guys have been asking me on social media to make a top 5 things I like about my E46, in today's video we're going to be doing exactly that. And the things I'm going to be mentioning in today's video might not particularly be things with my E46 in specific, but more like E46s in general. So with all that being said, let's head on straight into the video. So my first favorite thing about my E46 is definitely gonna have to go to the practicality of it. And I know what you guys are thinking, yo, this guy's driving like a rear-wheel drive coupe that's lowered. How is it practical in any way? If you guys take into consideration what car it is, it's a rear-wheel drive coupe, but for whatever reason, every time I put passengers in the back seat, like I recently took a trip that was like a 3 or 4 hour drive, and I had 4 people in the car just straight relaxing. It was so comfortable and such an easy trip to make in that car. And also when you start to take into consideration that the car also has folding split rear seats, which is super useful when you want to carry like really long items and you have no space in your trunk. It also has a trunk pass-through as well through the rear seats. And on top of that, I believe the E46 was actually the last generation of 3 Series that still kept a full-size spare tire in the trunk. And actually, as a lot of you guys don't know, I do work at a BMW dealership that's in my area locally, and I've driven like a lot of the newer cars. Like I can easily say I've driven almost like every single BMW, and I can easily say it, I feel like the E46 interior, especially for the coupes, have definitely the most spacious interior. I don't know what it is about the newer cars, they just feel a lot more cramped and a lot more tight and like stiff on the inside. But the E46 definitely, especially in terms of rear seat space, has a lot more space than the newer cars do. And I'm only speaking in terms of coupes. So with that being said, the next thing on my list definitely has to go to how my E46 makes me feel when I'm driving it. So the mods you have installed on the car are definitely going to play a really big role in how the car makes you feel when you drive. And for my car specifically, just like my front peripheral view when I'm driving, I'm just looking at the custom steering wheel, and then if it's nighttime especially, like the starlight kit, I'll see in my rear view, ambient lighting in front of me, and then through the side mirror, I also hear like the exhaust crackling and popping, and here and there will like shoot a flame and like make the whole car shake. And it's just like, especially when I put my foot down a little bit and like just hear the exhaust properly, it's just so intoxicating and it's just the most fun ever. So with that being said, my next favorite thing about my E46 is definitely gonna have to be about just working on it. So in general, I definitely think if you're like a car enthusiast and you're looking to buy like your first car and you want to learn how to work on cars, but you don't want something that's like too extremely expensive or crazy to work on, I think the E46 is actually a really good car to pick up just to learn on things. Overall, in terms of just the mechanics and everything, it's a fairly simple car just mechanically to learn and experience and just to work on and learn on things. And also when you take into consideration that the parts on these cars are pretty cheap, like in general, like they're always in stock everywhere you go, they're easy to find, they're cheap to come by. You can also pick up used parts, you can pick up new parts, you can pick up aftermarket parts. Just in general, in terms of finding parts, is really easy. And another big plus about working on an E46 is that, yo, there's literally so much online support when it comes to work on E46s. Like any problem you're ever gonna have on your E46 has definitely been already documented online somewhere in a forum. There's always forums that you can post something and people can just help you out and just give them their advice. And just in general, the community for working on an E46 is amazing. Alright guys, so that being said, the next favorite thing I have on my E46 is definitely gonna have to be the steering feel. So as a lot of the newer cars are coming out with electric power steering instead of hydraulic steering, the E46 and the E90 were actually the last BMWs to come with hydraulic power steering. The E90, of course, being the last generation. It's just something about power steering is that when you're driving, the steering feel much more stiff and you feel all the little bumps, nicks, and crannies that are in the road, and you know exactly what your tires are doing when you're contacting the road. You just feel out the car much better, you can read the road much better, and overall you just feel much more connected to the car. And I actually have driven a bunch of the new G80 M3s and the M4s, and honestly the power steering in those cars does feel much better than it did in the F series, but it still just doesn't quite feel like a good hydraulic replacement yet. I think if you give it like a couple more years, then they'll just fine-tune it to the point where you can't really tell the difference. But as of right now, me personally, I feel like it's just not quite there yet. But with that being said, my next favorite thing about my E46 is definitely have to go on just how it looks. So disregard the fact that my car looks completely different from stock, but even just in general, just like a clean stock body E46, especially the coupes, me personally, I'm obsessed with the coupe body style. I just think it's such a timeless and classy look, even if the car's stock or modified. I just think overall, the coupe is just such a nicely proportionate car, and overall just looks super nice and just super clean and elegant. Especially if you have like a completely stock E46, just by lowering it and getting some nice fitment with some nice rims, it just looks so nice and clean. Like that's like probably like a really good look you can pull off on an E46 for not too much money. And overall, I definitely do feel like the E46 is just an extremely timeless design, because a lot of the people who don't know cars, who I know personally, always assume that my car was like a 2011 or 2012 model year, when in reality they don't know It's an 06, which just goes to show the timeless design of the E46. So that being said, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys found it helpful and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys have any questions or comments, you can just leave them down below and I've been more than happy to answer. And if you guys want to check out more of my car, you can go ahead, follow me on Instagram. I'll leave it on the page right here somewhere. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.